All right, what's going on, guys? This is Rob, and there has apparently been a massive leak that came out for things that are going to take place at San Diego Comic-Con, which I'm really excited about. We've got press passes. We're going to be in Hall H. I'm very, very hyped about this for Marvel Studios. We're actually setting up a schedule and everything so that we're all kind of splitting off and we're going to all this different stuff. So by the time it's over, we should be able to bring you all a whole bunch of really cool content, or at least my staff will. I'll be in Cancun after San Diego Comic-Con's over. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's this leak that came out, right? And here's one of the things about this. It doesn't really come from like a definitive place. It's not like it was leaked by specifically Daniel RPK. It seems like it's one of these where somebody somewhere leaked it and then everybody picked it up. And so it's one of these where you kind of take it with a grain of salt. It may be true, maybe not true, and that only time will really tell. So first things first on this list, Deadpool 3. So what this says is that Ryan Reynolds will be in attendance to announce the next Deadpool movie, which is not going to be titled Deadpool 3, and director Sean Levi will send in a video. Now, here's a cool thing, and I've kind of been wondering about this for a while. How's Deadpool 3 going to work, right? I mean, I imagine that if this really does happen in Hall H, that we'll get to see like a pretty solid preview, right? Or at the very least, we'll get a lot more information regarding how it's going to fit into the MCU. Honestly, what I'm hoping they do is something akin to like what Christopher Priest did when he originally rolled Deadpool over. So for you guys who don't know, you don't know what that means. And I feel like it doesn't have to be adapted, and you really can't adapt it one for one in this way from the comics to the movies, but you could adapt the general concept and then throw it in there. So one of the things to know is that when Rob Liefeld originally introduced Deadpool back in the early 1990s, in New Mutants issue number 98, he was a super serious character, right? He was like kind of your dyed-in-the-wool characters as they existed at the time. The comedic Deadpool didn't really come along until Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness were handling the comic in like 1998. But even then, he was still relatively serious and had a couple of dark moments and broke like or really dark humor moments, and broke the fourth wall like twice. And that was basically it. It wasn't until Marvel was going to cancel it and they sent it off to Christopher Priest, which was really the guy you sent comics to back in the 90s if you wanted to get rid of him. It had been that way for a time, for like a long time. And that's an important thing, because when Christopher Priest wrote the comic, he basically made a meta commentary on himself, where like Deadpool enters this trailer park and like goes to his trailer, and it's all the characters that have been written out by Christopher Priest, all the characters whose stories were canceled. And then Deadpool was like, nope, that's not gonna happen. And he left and jumped into a puddle in the trailer park and woke up in the story, right? So it was a really great meta commentary, and that set the stage for how Christopher Priest was gonna handle Deadpool, because following that, Deadpool as you know him now, breaking the fourth wall all the time and all that kind of stuff, that was not Gail Simone, and it wasn't any of those guys, right? It was basically the entirety of Christopher Priest that made Deadpool that way. That's why I always tell people, if you want to know where modern day Deadpool started, the Christopher Priest run is where you want to start. Now, again, they don't have to adapt that exact kind of intro to the MCU, but I would love to see like a comedic introduction of Deadpool into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and possibly even poking fun at like the Fox universe, or even if the MCU is brave enough, poking fun at a few things of the MCU, because I feel like that's really where Deadpool would shine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is if he's done in a way to where he can kind of be our voice. Like, well, wait a minute, that didn't make any sense. Like, you guys remember that moment from like Thor or something like that, where it's like, why is Thor so funny all the time? Like, he's not even really that funny at all. Thor's supposed to be serious. Go back to being serious, man. But like, Deadpool is essentially a meta commentary on the other movies that we've seen in the MCU, and some of the gripes that we have as like viewers, right? Like, okay, like I'm kind of getting bored of this. That's not as funny as they thought it would be, just that kind of a thing. And I feel like that would really resonate pretty strongly with the character of Deadpool and fit in with him perfectly. So moving on, right, we get Black Panther news. Now, supposedly Ryan Coogler and the cast of Black Panther will be present, and they'll bring the first trailer for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So if this is true, expect trailer leaks on YouTube during San Diego Comic-Con, right? You'll probably end up seeing somebody with a smartphone that's literally recording the trailer, and then they're going to throw it up, right? If this is true, expect that, right? That will probably be there. Now, how extensive that's going to be, I'm not entirely sure. When they say first trailer, assuming this leak is true, I would expect more of a teaser for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I think that the first trailer is going to really be like a world premiere. We might see it at San Diego, and they have a history of doing that, but Black Panther Wakanda Forever is a big enough thing that If they were to do that, it would be designed for the sole purpose of drumming up interest, meaning the actual world premiere of the trailer would drop shortly after, because it wouldn't make any sense to drop the trailer during San Diego, have all that interest and all that excitement for it when everybody was like, hey man, the trailer premiered at San Diego, it was awesome, it was badass, and then they don't drop the actual trailer for like another 2 or 3 months. I don't really see that being the case. The other reason why I don't see that being the case is because the movie literally comes out in November, and for those of you guys who are familiar, you can usually track the release of trailers with some degree of certainty to about a 5 to 6 month period out from the release of the film, and we're about there. By the time San Diego happens, we'll be about 5 months out from the release of the film, which means it's around that time when the trailer is supposed to drop. So I wouldn't be surprised if the trailer drops during San Diego Comic-Con, and then that Monday or Tuesday following San Diego, the world premiere of the trailer goes out, because that's when I think conversation, discussion, and excitement will have reached a fever pitch, and everybody will have wanted to see the trailer. So having said that, there really isn't a whole lot doing with Secret Invasion. There is a mention here as far as the leak. Apparently nobody will be in attendance for Secret Invasion, but they will reveal the main cast and share a little bit of footage. Honestly, I'm not too surprised by that. If I'm being honest with you guys, Secret Invasion kind of feels like the Marvel TV show that's just sort of operating under the radar. There's no real build-up for it. There's no real excitement for it, right? There's nothing on the same level as like WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, or anything like that. You know, by all standards of measurement, at least as far as marketing goes, it's just a show that exists that will come out at some point in time. I don't know if that's the intention. I don't know if Marvel and Disney are focusing more on the immediate projects, or if it's one of those things where they're just kind of like, we're not really expecting the show to do that well, but we already committed to it, and we've already got the money for it, and we already made it, so we might as well just kind of go forward, or at least already in the process of making it. I don't know if they finished it yet, but you know, we're just kind of letting it go forward and do its thing. But having said that, the next cool thing here, and I feel like this is going to be a big talking point, is Blade. So apparently Mahershala Ali, Kit Harington, Aaron Pierce, Milan Ray, and Bassem Tariq, I think is how you pronounce his name, will all be in attendance for some news. Now, there's no indication here, assuming again that this leak is true, which we don't know if it is, there's no indication here that there will actually be any kind of a trailer that will drop. If you have the whole members of the cast that are here, it's a little too early for the dropping of a trailer, but they might have some kind of like early footage or something like that. But apparently one big piece of news that's going to drop during San Diego is that Anthony Starr is going to be playing Dracula. Now, if that's true, that's amazing. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, of course, Anthony Starr plays Homelander in The Boys. Honestly, he's perfectly suited to play the role of Dracula. Like, I think he is perfectly suited for that. He looks the part, right? Just seeing like his eyes glowing red in the Boys TV series when he was using his heat vision, I think it's a cool idea. Honestly, I think there are characters that Anthony Starr could play that would be better than Dracula, but I think he's a great choice for Dracula. So moving on here, again, not necessarily knowing if this leak is absolutely true, there are a couple of announcements, or at least a couple things in this leak that I'm not entirely sure I agree with. The first one is the Marvels. So what this tells us, or at least what this leak says anyway, is that basically the cast of the Marvels will be there minus Zawe Ashton, who won't be there because of her pregnancy, and that Anson Mount is going to reprise his role as Black Bolt. Jodie Turner-Smith is going to join as Medusa in the post-credits of the movie, and it's going to set up the Universal Inhumans as a big cosmic story going forward. I think that's ridiculous, and it's stupid. The Inhumans suck. Okay, you know what? Let me take that back. And I know a lot of you guys who are just like, wait, record skip. What? Okay, look, here's the thing. The concept of the Universal Inhumans was really cool. That was really cool, and Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four. The Inhumans themselves, I don't like them. I don't find them interesting, fascinating, or anything. And I don't really understand why you would set up the Universal Inhumans as a cosmic story going forward. Having said that, the Marvel's the best place to do it if you're going to do that. And here's the reason why. Those of you guys who don't know anything about the Inhumans were a Universal project. So the idea behind the Universal Inhumans and the way that the Supreme Intelligence had formed this project is that in order to expand the Kree Empire and basically solidify its ability to conquer other races, what they did is they genetically modified Kree so that at some point in time when they were exposed to the Terrigen Mist, that they would take on the form of basically another group that existed out there, right? Some alien race or something like that. They could infiltrate that alien race, and then because of the fact that they would develop powers as a result of their exposure to the Terrigen Mist, they would be able to subvert that empire from within and basically begin the process of bringing it down. And then when that happened, it would make it easier for the Kree race to basically conquer it. And And the idea was to do that across the entirety of the universe. The problem here is the Supreme Intelligence, shortly after the creation of the Universal Inhuman Project, came to the realization that there was a kind of prophecy out there that one of those Inhuman groups would lead to the destruction of the Kree. And so what the Supreme Intelligence did is he ordered the Accuser Corps to annihilate all the Universal Inhuman projects, and the only one that survived were the Inhumans on Earth, right? That's why they're so significant in relation to the Kree. Having said that, who cares, man? I have no desire to see the Inhumans in any capacity in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, maybe this will change my mind, but if I'm being honest with you guys, bringing in Black Bolt and the Universal Inhuman storyline, I think is a poor decision, and I think a much better choice to have done here would have been to bring in Adam Brashear, the Blue Marvel. I think that would have been the much better choice here because he's got an amazing history. It's fascinating, it's tangible, it resonates with the real world. You know, I think it's a phenomenal story, right? It's like one of the best origin stories, in my opinion, the best origin story in the entirety of Marvel Comics. I love Blue Marvel. Now, we might see Adam Brashear in Marvels. We may actually see him there. I'm not really certain that we will, but it would be cool if we did. But having said that, that may not necessarily be the case. The Marvels, as it looks right now, the entire cast, right? You got Iman, you got Tiana, all these characters. It looks like Marvel's version of A-Force or like Lady Liberators, a woman-centric team, which I have no qualms with. And honestly, I think it's cool, and I'm interested in that aspect of it. But I think that like Blue Marvel, one of the most significant characters in modern history in Marvel Comics, I think if ever there were a time to have him in this movie, this would have been it. And I feel like or at least have him in the MCU, this would have been a great time to do it. And I feel like it's a hugely missed opportunity. But nonetheless, right, I don't want to turn this into a gripe session. So moving on, this is the second one, the other one that I really disagree with, World War Hulk. So apparently, according to this leak, World War Hulk was going to be a movie, but it's now being turned into a 4-part series for Disney Plus that may have a small theatrical release. And this could possibly be the big Avengers event that's set before Secret Wars with a bunch of big characters. I do not believe World War Hulk should be a Disney Plus series. I firmly believe this needs to be a movie. And the reason why, and really make it a 2-part movie, and the reason why is because World War Hulk was a big enough event that you could pull that off. It was a big enough event, and the Incredible Hulk is a big enough name draw. Honestly, I think this is one of those instances where, really coming off the interview of the Russo brothers where they said that they depowered the Incredible Hulk as Professor Hulk because they didn't know what to do with him, I think this is a perfect example of that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That the reality here is I'm not sure they fully understand why people like the Hulk. Look, here's the thing. I've been reading comics for decades, right? Years and years and years and years and years. There's all kinds of runs on the Incredible Hulk. You've got the Bill Mantlo, Peter David run, which was more of like a kind of a breakdown and an introspective look in terms of the fact that the Incredible Hulk is like the result of Bruce Banner's abuse at the hands of his father Brian, all that kind of stuff. Let me tell you something. The most successful Incredible Hulk runs out there are the runs where he's just smashing shit, because that's what people want to see. People want to see the Incredible Hulk just break stuff. Right? Like that's all they want to see. They just want to see him break things and smash things and be really pissed off. And if they released a movie where they're like, hey guys, here's a 2-part movie where the Incredible Hulk is going to be as pissed off as he's ever been and pretty much no one's going to be able to stop him, that's going to draw a lot of money. People are going to go see that movie. Lots and lots of people. It's going to break $1 billion. I can guarantee you. I can guarantee you it's going to break $1 billion. Having said that, what I think is going on here in this instance is the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Disney are looking at the Incredible Hulk and they're not entirely sure he's bankable. And honestly, I think that is their perception of the Incredible Hulk coming out of the events of like Infinity War and Avengers Endgame with like the Professor Hulk. But honestly, it's them engineering a circumstance that depicted the Incredible Hulk in a very poor way, and then using people's reception to that poor depiction of the Incredible Hulk as a reason for why they don't think the Incredible Hulk is bankable, if that's truly the case. Honestly, the Incredible Hulk is a bankable character. The Incredible Hulk is a character that will draw money. You just have to do it the right way. And having a film or a couple films where the Incredible Hulk just fucks everything up, that's a great movie. Like just beating the crap out of everybody repeatedly. Right? And that's the thing. The Incredible Hulk, for those of you guys who don't know, in World War Hulk, you're not going to see like a super emotional Incredible Hulk. You're going to see a methodical Incredible Hulk. Like imagine Professor Hulk if he was just really, really angry, but he was so pissed off, he was calm. That's the kind of Incredible Hulk that you would be seeing. But what you would be seeing him do is crushing people. And like, imagine like you would see a circumstance where Thor would show up and like literally World War Hulk would crush him like that. Like, it wouldn't even be close. It would not even be close. Like, that's what you're talking about here. So how you create that into a movie, I'm not entirely sure, but that's literally their job. But I think turning it into a Disney Plus show is a bit of a miscalculation. I don't think that's the best decision to make. Having said that, and we move on here, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which I think is the big thing that people really want to see after Thor. So Guardians of the Galaxy 3, according to this leak, again, assuming it's true, a majority of the cast will be in attendance and they will show some footage. If I'm a betting man, I'd bet all the money in my pockets to all the money in your pockets, they're going to show us Adam Warlock, because I'm not entirely sure there's anything they can really show us in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 that we don't suspect or that we wouldn't see coming outside of Adam Warlock. And to be honest with you guys, I think Adam is the big draw. That's the reason so many of us are going to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3, is because we want to see Adam Warlock. I know for me that's the case. I've been wanting to see Adam ever since Guardians 2, and I feel like he maybe could have appeared a couple post-credit scenes, especially in the aftermath of Avengers Endgame, half the population of the universe disappearing. Like suddenly, like somebody, like what is it? One of the Sovereign just hits the panic button and just Adam Warlock emerges from his cocoon, something along those lines. Like whatever the case happens to be, I think that there were a couple post-credit scenes that we could have seen that were potential missed opportunities, but I think a lot of that was because they hadn't had him casted by that point. They hadn't had his character fleshed out. They didn't even know exactly how he was going to look, right? So it's kind of hard to throw a character in a post-credit scene when you literally haven't designed them yet. So, you know, we kind of had to wait on that. So I'm not really complaining. I'm just saying, like, I think that's something that we you know, it would have been cool to see. Having said that, I think we'll definitely see Adam Warlock during San Diego if this leak is true, and I think that'll be the big talking point. Everybody's going to be talking about Adam Warlock. Now, moving on, I think this is the one, like for me, I think Guardians 3 is a big one. I think for a lot of people this is a big one. This is the one that I think most people want to see. This, I think, if anything comes out of San Diego, it's like the big talking point. It'll be this one and it'll be one other one, right? So this one here, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. What this leak says is that we'll see some footage with actors Rudd, Lilly, and Newton present, and that Jonathan Majors will send in a video as Kang the Conqueror, which means if this video is sent in and is in character, meaning it's not just him, like you guys remember like when James Gunn did that video where he was like, I'm actually moving up the release of Guardians, you know, like you guys remember that, you know, that like not like that, where like literally Jonathan Majors just has his makeup on and he looks like Kang, but it's obviously Majors just talking like Majors, right? If this is one of those videos where like he's in character and he's like, I'm coming for all of you or something like that, it'll be our first look at Jonathan Majors as Kang. And I gotta tell you guys, I am hyped. Oh my God, I am so hyped to see Jonathan Majors as Kang. Even if it's only for like 30 seconds, right? Just a 30-second thing. I'm so excited to see what he looks like as Kang, because Jonathan Majors was just a great choice for that role. So having said that, the second to last one here, right? Wonder Man. Not really too concerned about Wonder Man, to be honest with you guys, right? That this will be announced with Henry Golding as Simon Williams. An interesting detail is that Evan Peters is apparently returning as Ralph Bohner, but may have a new name, will likely be a side character in the show. Not really sure how all that's gonna play out. Don't really know how that's gonna work. Honestly, with Wonder Man, I mean, I can't say I'm against it, but I can't say I'm for it. I'm lukewarm to it, you know, but that's because really Wonder Man was never a character in the comics that really interested me all that much. Having said that, I am gonna watch the show. Right, I'm not going to skip over it. Like, I am going to watch the Wonder Man show because it could win me over, right? I mean, one of the things to remember when Marvel Studios first launched and they made the Iron Man film, they had to convince people that Iron Man was not a robot. People were just like, I mean, that's weird, but they warmed people up to him. And now the MCU is where it is now. I mean, as soon as Robert Downey Jr. popped up as Tony Stark, people were just like, done, right? They were won over. That was it, right? People were in that movie for half an hour and they were just like, this is the winner. And they stuck with the MCU ever since, right? So it could be one of those things where Wonder Man just wins me over, right? It really kind of depends. But here's the last one. And I think honestly, outside of Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania, this will be the big talking point, right? Daredevil, the Man Without Fear, that apparently this will be announced with Charlie Cox starring, along with Isa Gonzalez as Elektra. Now, I find it interesting that they're bringing Elektra back, and it's kind of funny because this seems to fly in the face of a lot of the rumors that we've heard, right? We know that apparently Kingpin is going to come back, you know, like there's a lot of appearances that are expected in this show, but I don't know if it necessarily does conflict. It's one thing to say Kingpin will return and he will be in the new Daredevil Man Without Fear show. It's another to say he's going to be the main villain. The reality here is we know from Kevin Feige and all them, the other seasons of Daredevil from Netflix are in continuity. So we know that like Kingpin already had his time as the villain. It was the whole of season 1 and partially season 2, to be honest with you guys. So I don't really think Kingpin needs to come back as a villain per se. That being said, I don't think Elektra does either. If I'm being honest with you guys, I would much rather have seen them turn this show into Shadowland, to be quite frank, right? I would rather they have done like the Shadowland event as the first opening, as the opening salvo for the Disney Plus Daredevil show, especially coming off of everything else. Because once Daredevil launches, the Netflix episodes are on Disney Plus, right? That's happening, right? That's the thing. It's already there. So you can just get caught up. The Hand already exists. The stage is set for Shadowland. There wasn't a whole lot of the mysticism there, right? The Great Beast and so on and so forth. That's not necessarily there. So how you explain Daredevil being possessed by the demonic beast that leads the Hand, I'm not entirely sure, but it's the MCU. You don't have to. You can just have one of those things where it's like Wolverine, Enemy of the State, where he's just brainwashed, taken by the Hand, he's brainwashed, and then becomes the leader of the Hand, and they've got to like save him or something like that. I mean, that plot is just thin enough for the MCU, but just complicated enough and interesting enough that it would keep the casual movie audience going. But having said that, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments section. Do you think these leaks are true? Do you think it's like, no, none of this stuff is true? Hopefully it hasn't been debunked by the time I make this video. Let me know what you guys think, and I will catch you all later. Peace.